There's a multitude of systemic issues in this country that plagues our democracy. I mean, money in politics, campaign finance laws are one of them. But another one that I've consistently talked about has been the need for electoral reform, because our democracy would function a lot more smoothly if more voices were heard. We can't just continue to prop up this duopoly, this two-party duopoly, because it's not working. There's a bunch of people left out, namely people on the left. So if we really want to make third parties, and not just third parties, but, a fourth and a fifth party, and I say third party in terms of, more than two parties, but if we want really 3, 4, 5, maybe even 6 parties like other countries have, then there's one thing we all need to pursue as progressives, and that undoubtedly is electoral reform. Now, one of the easiest things we can do is push for ranked choice voting, and some states have already carried this out, and thankfully in Massachusetts there's currently a coalition that is pushing for this. And as Shira Schoenberg of Mass Live reports, a group of Massachusetts politicians and government reformers wants to change the way elections are conducted, and it could be looking toward a 2020 ballot initiative to do it. Voter Choice Massachusetts is a growing coalition pushing for the adoption of ranked choice voting. The argument made by Executive Director Adam Friedman in favor of ranked choice voting is blunt. Our politics are dysfunctional, Friedman said. Ranked choice voting is a system where voters can rank their first, second, and third choice candidates, and so on. A winner is determined when someone gets more than 50% of first choice votes. If no one gets 50% in the initial voting, the first choice votes that went to the candidate with the least support will get redistributed to those voters' second choice candidate. For example, say George W. Bush, Al Gore, and Ralph Nader are running for president. None of them wins a majority of the vote, but Nader comes in third. Any voter who chose Nader as their top choice will have their votes distributed to their second choice candidate, either Gore or Bush, and whoever ends up with a majority wins. Friedman said the result of this system is it changes politics from a zero-sum game where various factions battle it out to one that can be more unifying and inclusive, since politicians have to get support from a broader base of voters. Friedman said it eliminates the idea of spoiler candidates in which a third-party candidate is blamed for allowing a less favored candidate to win. Now, if you're one of the individuals, if you're one of these rich celebrities who like to vote shame people like Susan Sarandon or third-party voters, this is your ticket to never have to worry about a spoiler again. Push for ranked choice voting, but I mean, people who vote shame, they don't push for ranked choice voting, and it's because they don't care about change. They just want, conformity. They want someone in the White House who's going to make them feel good. They don't care that people only, vote third party really, or go for a third party option or a more unorthodox choice if the two-party duopoly failed them. But this would further democratize our country and make it so that way a third party and a fourth party is possible. Now look, there's two different ways that you can push for this. Certainly you could push for this at the state level. You can try to get ranked choice voting on the ballot. This is how a lot of activists and proponents of cannabis got it legalized in multiple states. They pushed for it. They tried to make it a ballot initiative, and it passed. That's one way to do it. Another way to do it is to push for it federally. And in fact, there's already a bill proposed by Jamie Raskin and Ro Khanna, and that is the Fair Representation Act. It's H.R. 3057. And what that would do is it would end gerrymandering, it would implement ranked choice voting nationwide, and most importantly, it would move us from single-member districts to multi-member districts of 3 to 5 representatives. So, in other words, instead of us just voting and have only one person from our district get in, well, now there'd be 3 to 5 people, depending on the district, that would get elected. Meaning that you might see more than just the two parties emerge. It probably wouldn't happen overnight, but certainly this type of electoral reform would make other types of parties more viable. And if you're wondering why America has only two parties, but other countries like Germany have more parties, have like 5 or 6 parties that actually win, well, it's because their electoral systems are set up in a way that allow for either mixed member or multi-member districts, where you either vote for, a party and then you vote for candidates, and, not just one person wins, multiple people win. But it's basically, it's more fair. It's more proportional representation. not winner take all, where there's going to be one winner and one loser, and everyone else who doesn't like those two are completely alienated and not represented. No, this is a more egalitarian, fair, and democratic way overall to conduct elections. We don't just need a third party. We don't just need a fourth party. I think for how ideologically diverse America is, we need about 6 parties. And I'm not just saying we need 6 parties to exist, because in this country, we technically have hundreds of parties in this country, across the country, in various states and whatnot, but we need 6 to be our effective number of political parties. Now, what that means is that that's the number of political parties that actually can get power and win seats and have power to affect change. That's what we need in this country. It would dramatically transform this country. It wouldn't end all the problems that our country faces, because we certainly still need to get money out of politics. We need to we need the Republican Party to collapse. We need a left-wing party and not just 2 right-wing parties. But it would be a start. This would give us more options. It would make America a lot more democratic, and I think that it would make voters feel a lot more happy about the system that we live in.
Support this podcast by becoming a patron at patreon.com/Humanist Report.